We all trust our senses to tell us the truth about our bodies. But what if they could lie? Today, we're diving into a medical paradox that has stumped scientists for centuries, a real-life ghost that lives inside the human mind.
Yeah, how can you feel pain in a limb that isn't even there? It sounds impossible, right? Like something out of a ghost story. But for millions of amputees, it's a daily and often agonizing reality. So how on earth does the brain create a feeling so incredibly vivid from a part of the body that literally no longer exists?
And this isn't some new mystery. We're talking about a puzzle that goes way, way back. The first documented cases were on 16th century battlefields. Even famous figures like Admiral Horatio Nelson talked about the strange sensations coming from his amputated arm. But it took until the American Civil War for a neurologist, Silas Weir Mitchell, to finally give it a name, the phantom limb.
So the official name for this is phantom limb pain, or PLP, and we're not talking about some vague memory. People experience incredibly real sensations, things like cramping, burning, itching, or aching in a limb that just isn't there.
And get this, it is way more common than you'd think. A whopping 64% of amputees experience some form of phantom limb pain. So this isn't some rare, bizarre anomaly. It's what happens to the majority of people. So where is all this pain coming from? Well, the answer isn't in the missing limb. It's in the brain.
All right, so to really get our heads around this phantom, we've got to look at the map it haunts. See, inside your brain, there is a detailed, living blueprint of your entire body. Just imagine you've got this live, constantly updating satellite map of your body running in your brain at all times. This map, which lives in a part of the brain called the somasensory cortex, knows where every single part of you is. It's how you can clap your hands in a pitch-black room or scratch an itch without even looking. But what happens to that map when a huge piece of the territory just vanishes? Okay, this is where things get really crucial. Your brain, it absolutely hates a vacuum. That part of the map that used to represent, say, your hand, doesn't just go dark. Instead, the brain does this thing called maladaptive cortical plasticity. It's a fancy way of saying it starts a messy, aggressive rewiring process. All those circuits that used to serve the hand are suddenly unemployed, and they're looking for a new job. And this is where it gets super, super weird. Those neighboring parts of the brain map, like the area that represents your face, they start to creep in and invade the now silent territory of the missing hand. And the result is just sensory chaos. Someone might feel a touch on their cheek as a touch on their phantom fingers. These cross signals are a huge clue. But it all begs a bigger question. What builds this incredible brain map in the first place? So to really crack the phantom pain paradox, we need to bring in the hero of our story, a hidden sense you're using right now, every single second, without even thinking about it. It's your body's own internal GPS. Let's try a little experiment right now. Go ahead, close your eyes. Now try to touch your index finger to the tip of your nose. You did it perfectly, right? But how? You couldn't see your hand, you couldn't see your nose, so what invisible sense was telling your brain exactly where everything was in space? The answer? It's a sense called proprioception. It's this constant, non-stop, unconscious stream of information that flows from your muscles and joints to your brain, telling it where your body is at all times. This is our secret sixth sense. When you think about our five senses, sight, sound, smell, taste, touch, they're all about the outside world, right? They're your window to what's going on around you. But proprioception, that's all about our inner world. It's the sense of self. It's your brain literally listening to your body to build that internal map. So what's the hardware behind it all? So how does the sixth sense actually work? Let's zoom in and meet the tiny little pieces of biological hardware that make it all possible. Okay, take a look at this. This is a muscle spindle. It's this super intricate little sensor wrapped right around your muscle fibers, and its one and only job is to constantly measure how much that muscle is stretching and report that data back to the brain 24/7. Think of it like a tiny tension sensor, reporting back to headquarters nonstop. But here's where it gets really fascinating. These sensors, they aren't just sprinkled evenly everywhere. The body is much smarter than that. The number of muscle spindles in any given muscle, what we call its spindle density, tells you a whole lot about what that muscle is designed to do. Think about the deep muscles in your neck for a second. Their job isn't about raw power, right?
It's about all those tiny, super precise adjustments to keep your head perfectly balanced. Well, to do that, they need an incredible amount of sensory feedback. And because of that, they are absolutely packed with these muscle spindles. And I mean, the difference is just staggering. We're talking around 36 spindles per gram in those deep neck muscles. Now, compare that to your bicep, a muscle built for big, powerful movements. It's got like 2. That's an 18 times difference in sensory data, all because fine control requires way more information than just brute force.
All right, so let's pull all these threads together. We've got the brain's body map, we've got that chaotic rewiring that happens after an amputation, and we've got our secret sixth sense, proprioception. Now, let's solve this thing.
The last piece of the puzzle is something called proprioceptive memory. Here's how to think about it. For your entire life, data has been streaming in from those muscle spindles, building this powerful, rock-solid memory of your body, a blueprint. And that blueprint is so deeply ingrained, it doesn't just vanish when the physical limb is gone. So, here's the chain of events. Step 1, the amputation happens, and boom, the data stream from that limb's sensors goes dark. Step 2, the brain's powerful memory of that limb, that blueprint, is still there. Step 3, that now silent part of the brain map gets invaded by signals from other body parts, and that leads us to the final step, a massive signal conflict. The brain has this vivid memory, but no real-time data to confirm it, just a bunch of chaotic, crossed wires. And when the brain can't make sense of a conflict like that, it often defaults to the most primal danger signal it has, pain. And this really gets to the heart of it all. Our sense of body ownership, that fundamental feeling that this arm is my arm, it's not a given. It's actually a story the brain is constantly telling itself by weaving together everything it sees, everything it touches, and everything it feels from proprioception. Phantom limb pain is what happens when a key thread in that story gets suddenly and violently cut. And all of this leaves us with one last, kind of unsettling question. Phantom limb pain proves that our brain's internal map can be profoundly wrong about the physical territory of our own bodies. It shows that our perception of ourselves is a fragile construction. So if the brain can create such a vivid, undeniable illusion of a limb that isn't there, how much of our everyday experience is actually a faithful picture of reality? And how much is just a very, very convincing story our brain has gotten good at telling itself?